April 1st, 2026. On the coast of Florida, a rocket launched 4 people toward a place no human had been in 53 years, the moon. But here's the thing, they went all the way there and didn't land. They came back. And that's exactly the question everyone's been asking. If you went to the moon, why didn't you land? Let's take a step back first. December 1972. When Apollo 17 lifted off from the lunar surface, most people assumed this was just the beginning, that missions would keep coming, maybe even a permanent base someday. That never happened. Because going to space was never just a technical problem. The Apollo program cost the equivalent of roughly $280 billion in today's money. And what actually drove it wasn't scientific curiosity, it was Cold War pressure. The US beat the Soviets, the race was over, and the political will quietly died with it. The hard truth was simple. The technology to actually stay on the moon didn't exist yet. You could go, you could come back, but building anything permanent up there wasn't even close to possible. For the next 53 years, humanity's relationship with the moon ran through robots. Until this year. To understand why Artemis II didn't land, you have to think about what sending humans to the moon actually means. You need to keep a crew alive for days in one of the most hostile environments imaginable. Every system on that spacecraft has to work perfectly in deep space, where there's no rescue mission coming if something goes wrong. Space is remarkably good at turning small problems into catastrophic ones. That's why Artemis II wasn't a landing mission. It was a confidence test. The real question was, can Orion, the spacecraft the crew named Integrity, take humans into deep space and bring them home safely? Before anyone sets foot on the surface, you need to know the answer to that question. And the 4 people who flew that test weren't exactly ordinary. Reed Wiseman commanded the mission. Victor Glover became the first black astronaut to travel this close to the moon. Christina Cook was the first woman to reach this distance. Jeremy Hansen became the first non-American to venture into deep space. They didn't just go as historic names, they went as the people testing whether the system itself actually works. On April 6th, as the crew passed over the far side of the moon, a record was quietly broken. 248,655 miles from Earth, the farthest any humans have ever traveled in history. Think about what that moment actually feels like. No Earth in the window. No sun, just darkness and silence in every direction. Only 28 people in all of human history have ever experienced that. But there was a tension on this journey that most people never heard about. Earth's magnetic field protects us from deadly solar particles, but it doesn't push them away, it traps them. We call that region the Van Allen belts, and the Artemis II crew had to pass straight through it. Engineers had roughly 15 minutes to cross the most intense part at the narrowest possible angle, because our biology simply isn't built for that level of high-energy radiation. During Apollo, we got through it largely on luck. This time, it had to be engineered. April 10th, 2026, off the coast of San Diego, Orion descended through the atmosphere and splashed down in the Pacific. The words that came through to mission control were, "We are stable. 4 green crew members." Houston erupted, and NASA's official statement was far less dramatic, but far more important. I think the path to the surface is open now. Sometimes the missions that make history aren't the most spectacular ones. Sometimes what matters most is the systems nobody notices, working exactly as they should. Artemis II didn't land, but it built the foundation for the next giant step. And what comes next is already in motion. The first actual crewed landing on the moon is now targeted for 2028 under Artemis IV. And this time, the goal isn't flags and footprints. NASA wants to build a permanent base near the lunar South Pole, with habitats, rovers, and nuclear power systems. The moon, eventually, as a proving ground for Mars. Artemis II didn't land, but what it proved today is that the door is open. What humanity does with that open door is the story we're all about to watch unfold.